Undertale has been a large influence on my work, and not always in the ways you think. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that some of my earlier videos were clearly Undertale related, and that's for two reasons. Firstly was that I considered myself part of the fandom, which I no longer do, and second was that I was a dumb 14-year-old. But besides that, in this year of 2022, I thought to make this video as a sort of deconstruction of what Undertale has done for me. Despite what its fanbase might say, Undertale is a fairly simple game conceptually. The premise? The RPG where you don't have to hurt anyone. That's literally how it was advertised. However, like most games with moral choices, those related mechanics basically got condensed into making the player character either a happy flower child or a cold-blooded murderer. The reason this happened for Undertale was because your choices as a player were limited to be nice to people or murder them. Despite the number of endings that are referred to as neutral, virtually every single path where the player kills at all is framed as a bad ending. For example, if Papyrus, Sans' skeleton brother, is killed and Toriel and Undyne are left alive, the last words of dialogue from Sans are, quote, "Never come back here, you are not welcome," end quote, before he hangs up. This ending, and all the others that ring true as bad endings in this game, very quickly waltz into some icky moral absolutism about killing always being wrong. And as fandom culture often does, the fandom takes this flawed framework and goes batshit bonkers with it. From flashy anime battles solved with the power of friendship to Kara being a cursed agent of the Dark, it's quite the rabbit hole. We'll also quickly mention the colorful elephant in the room that is the bloodbath of what pronouns the player character Frisk goes by. Pro tip: if an Undertale fan makes Frisk go by binary pronouns, they are a fuckstick waiting to happen. Anyways, from all that chaos, what parts of Undertale sparked my imagination? Well, a lot of ideas came out of me thinking about Undertale and or Deltarune through the years. Some characters, sure, but for me, it was mostly story ideas that came from these two games. Early on into me learning about Undertale, I was interested in making alternate universes, otherwise called AUs, of Undertale, but I ended up scrapping all of those in favor of original fiction ideas that are tinged with Undertale/Deltarune influence. In terms of design influence, most of my child characters wear striped shirts as both a nod to the Mother series, Undertale, and because it looks neat. In regards to character ideas I got from Undertale, one of the first of them started as an alternate version of Sans in Supertale, the second AU that I made, but then drifted into original character territory when I started tweaking the character design beyond a human version of Sans. This sort of thing isn't new for me. Heck, a lot of my favorite OCs were initially designed to look or be similar to existing character before I got better at character work. On the other hand, most of my original fiction ideas derived from Undertale were actually made to contrast the original story. The last of my late Undertale AUs was called Altered End, where I gave myself the explicit goal to junk most of what was considered standard for those AUs at the time. The most notable changes that I made in that story were to Frisk and Kara, who were the characters most warped by the fandom at large. Altered End's Frisk did away with the silent happy flower child vibe and was an impatient utilitarian instead. And Kara got to be the talkative travel buddy through the underground rather than a hellspawn equipped with a knife. What I've found is that thinking critically about what I consume in my media diet gets me better ideas to play with in my own works. And that's exactly what happened with Undertale. As established, Undertale has done a lot for me and my creations. It's not even that Undertale is an A+ game either. Ever since I got better about curating what media I go through with, the grade I've given Undertale has stayed at a solid 80%, or a B- in American terms. My conclusion to this video is this: if you like X piece of media, like it, but don't become obsessed with it. I had to learn that tying your identity to X thing you like doesn't do wonders for emotional maturity and mental health. So yes, I may have gotten a lot of mileage out of thinking about both Undertale, Deltarune, and their respective fanworks, but I'm not going to base my state of being off of their status. Thank you and good night.